0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
And the Sixers win it! Wow!
Oh man, Embiid just posterized Russell Westbrook.
You love the Philadelphia Eagles? Let me get a hell yeah!
Hey, what's going on, guys? What is happening? Welcome to Party on Broad. Our Sixers draft continues. If you love the Sixers, please be sure to give this video a like. Today, we're breaking down a high flyer, one of the best, most athletic prospects in this entire draft class. He is Terrence Shannon Jr. out of Texas Tech. And to do that, I've got my man, Tiago. Follow him on Twitter at TScabby to help me break it down. What's going on, Tiago?
High flyer's understatement, man. This guy has future NBA dunk champion written all over his game, man. This guy jumps off the gym, man. And and he definitely jumped off the gym at the combine.
Yeah. Like in terms of slashing, in terms of finishing ability, good size, athleticism, man. This is right up there. Let's start the tape. Tiago, tell us a little bit about, this dude, Terrence Shannon Jr., who, by the way, the Sixers met with last Friday.
Yeah, that's really the key. That's why we're kind of like talking about him because, Sixers, they're very deliberate about their draft intentions. Usually when they introduce somebody, their intentions are real. They're not going to use it as a smoke screen. So I think they have very high intention of drafting this kid. Athleticism, man. Athleticism, and size. 6'6", 220 pounds. One of only 8 forwards at the NBA Combine to register 39-inch vertical or higher, which is pretty substantial for like a combo forward, small forward, a power forward type. But again, another guy who is not sure if he's going to return or not. Testing the waters. I think he wants to see what's out there for him in terms of a draft grade, and he may even perhaps sneak into a late first round type of discussion. So I think the NBA Combine helped his stock, particularly around the athleticism, to really validate the fact that he's a NBA type athlete and an NBA type body. So, from the Sixers fit and from the Sixers perspective, we can talk about a lot of different things, how he would make sense. But I think that the conversation now is around him is he going to stay at the NBA draft? And I think that after we saw from the Combine, he probably will. There's a lot of traits to work with there, man. A lot of traits. It would be exciting to have him at an NBA program.
Let's talk about exciting traits. What are some of Terrence Shannon's strengths, man?
So, you're talking about a guy who's 6'6", 220 pounds, right? Moves like a guard, moves like an absolute guard, has a pretty explosive handle going right. You see him take off guys off the dribble, and it's pretty impressive. So, the size, the explosion, you see it right off the bat as kind of a ball handler type. And you start thinking about, man, this guy as a power forward, a little bit, perhaps just a little bit bigger. That's very exciting, man. These are the type of traits that really stand out at the NBA level when you have ability to take off guys. You see it right there, just explode to the rim. So the athleticism on the ball stands out. Off the ball, man, this guy can really attack you in space. And that's something that the Sixers offense lacked a lot, in my opinion, was cutting and guys who can finish at the rim, off cuts and off kind of back baseline action. And he's definitely one of those guys. I wrote it down, make sure I say it correctly. He 96. He scored on 96% of his basket cuts last year, which is a pretty high number. And for the Sixers, man, you want to introduce more of those elements into your offense. So the explosions around, pick and roll situation where you have him roll into the rim and kind of finish off at the rim. Those types of looks where he attacks the offense in space. He's one of the ideal players to do that. Defensively, he's a load man. I think he's going to make an immediate impact defensively right away. For a guy that big who moves like a guard, you watch him defend players in space, quicker guards. Like, he's in their hip pocket the entire time. Like, he does not get detached from ball handlers, and it's very impressive to watch. And with that length that we talked about, guys are going to have a very difficult time getting shots off when he's on the ball. You see it right there. Is that him? Yeah. Anyways, that's him shooting the ball, not defending. But bottom line is, defensively, he's going to make a immediate impact, and I think there's potential to work with him as shooting element progresses to be kind of a more well-rounded 3-and-D player at the next level.
Yeah, like you said, in terms of cutting to the basket, one of the best in the country last year. Defensively, defended at Texas Tech 1 through 4, some 5. So in terms of a 3-and-D guy, the potential here is really intriguing. But Thiago, what are some of Terrence Shannon's weaknesses?
So it's really around like playmaking, right? This is a guy who had more turnovers than assists. So not a passer right off the bat. You can tell just not a passer. It's not in his DNA. So he's gonna have to figure it out. If he's gonna handle the ball a little bit at the NBA, how to generate more looks for other folks, or if he just wants to be a spot up, corner threat or whatnot. As a shooter, he's got to find more consistency. He shot 35%, I believe, sophomore year, about 28, 29% freshman year. But his free throw percentage went down this year. So he's got to find more consistent, more rhythm as a shooter. And I think that from a standpoint of ball handling, we talked about him being a very explosive ball handler going right. And he's about 85 percentile in dribble drive going right. Going left, he's a 20 percentile scorer. And that is consistent from freshman year to sophomore year. Teams are going to put that on the scouting report, man, and they're going to say, listen, this guy cannot go right. So if he does not develop his dribble going left, he's not going to be able to make much of an impact as a ball handler. There's definitely potential there, like we talked about. You want to explore that in his game. He's not just Matisse Thybulle, catch and shoot. Like there's a little bit more in his game to unlock there, but he's got to be able to become less linear going right and have a little bit of change of direction and work on his left handle. And I think if he does those things, man, then it's a big time 3-and-D prospect that team should be very excited about.
All right, let's move on to fit with the Philadelphia 76ers. Thiago, where do you see this guy fitting in with the Sixers?
So I think, one of the things that Doc Rivers talked about at his exit interview was the fact that when he had to sub out, Ben or Joel or any of the starters, he felt that the team got small fast. And I think that Terrence Shannon is a guy I think they have on the radar for the reasons that they feel they can bring this guy on the court as a small forward, power forward type, and maintain their size on the court. And one of the things that I thought the Sixers lacked a lot of defensively was speed and athleticism on the wings. We talk about like when you put in Furkan Korkmaz, Seth Curry, you saw how much they struggled defending just quicker players in space. So Terrence is a guy who's going to have a much higher impact defending space from an athleticism and speed perspective. And I think that's going to bode well for the Sixers defensively if they do sub him in from the bench. And again, he's a guy who's going to be very switchable, man. So you talk about defending 2s, 3s, 4s. He's going to be definitely be able to do that at the NBA. And you start thinking about perimeter players on the East who are high impact scorers, right? So Jason Tatum, Chris Middleton. He has the frame to defend those guys at a higher level than Seth Curry or Furkan Korkmaz. So I think the idea is to bring this guy in as another 3-and-D prospect with a little bit more handle, but then keep your defensive integrity and your size on the court. I think that's really what the Sixers are thinking about with Terrence Shannon Jr. and why they interviewed this guy at the NBA Combine.
Yeah, he needs to work on his shooting, but what I like about him, he does get to the free throw line. And he does shoot really well, like 79% over his 2 years at Texas Tech. So that is a great sign. Any final thoughts on Terrence Shannon Jr. before we wrap it up, Thiago?
Yeah, I mean, if he's there in the first round, I mean, he's definitely a name that Sixers fans should definitely have on the radar. I do wonder about, can they find more in that first round range? We talk about guys like Jared Butler being out there perhaps, or, Murphy being out there. So, he's in that group, man. He's going to be in that group. I think the Sixers need a bit of everything. I think they could use perhaps a little bit more dynamic ball handling in the first round. But, if these guys get swooped up, he makes perfect sense, man, as a first round pick. I would not be surprised if they took him at pick 28.
Again, the Sixers interviewed this dude last Friday, which was June 25th. But anyway, that is the man, the myth, the legend, Thiago. Be sure to follow him on Twitter at Tscabia. Thiago, anything you got going on, man?
We got the draft going on, man. That's what we got going on. And it's going to be wild here the next couple of weeks. And then maybe just take a little breather before the new season comes around and start over again. So
luckily we have the Olympics like right around the corner. Nice little change of pace, perhaps, like some table tennis, some karate. Who knows?
You're not taking notes watching the game, right? You're just actually watching it for fun. You're just like not getting angry the fact that Ben Simmons blew a layup or something like that.
Exactly. Like that's your hit your spots, Tobias. No more brick from pull-ups with less than 10 feet. But anyway, thank you everyone for watching. If you guys love the Sixers, give this video a like. We'll be pumping these out, right up until the NBA draft. For Thiago, for myself, stay awesome, everyone.
And the Sixers win it! Wow!
Oh man, and being just posterized Russell Westbrook.
You love the Philadelphia